I guess we can start with updates on roadmap items. Uh, John, how is rebase work coming along?
It's going pretty well. So last night I talked with Don, or Awooks, and it was a really good talk. Basically, we kind of discussed getting the community involved, and the obvious and only main way to do that is by documenting the to-dos on GitHub. So that's basically, I think I'm going to end up being the leadership of that initiative, which is fine because now I've taken a nice long walk around both the Bitcoin and Zcash code base and discussed with JC for a bit of time what needs to be done. So I started, I just opened another pull request actually with the cherry picked stuff from the feature wallets that is like basically completely good to go. The other parts that are in the feature wallets pull request were just kind of me continuing down the trail, but I kind of wanted to tighten it up and get something we can merge. So that's what I just submitted, and there will be like one or two more PRs on the way for that. But as you can see, if you look in the contents of those pull requests, we have like addresses and including Besh32, so SegWit addresses lined up. So for anyone listening, that doesn't mean that it's ready on the main net, but that means that it is dropped into the rebase. Parts of this that will be longer term are the test suites passing, because it's a lot of things to line up. As people here may or may not know, the Bitcoin code base and the Zcash code base are like 3 years apart, and that's a lot of different code. Doesn't mean it won't fit with each other. It means it certainly will, but it means that it's going to be making tests pass in particular is kind of a pain. So it's really going well. We'd love more hands on deck, and organizationally, we're just getting started. So we'll be merging that first big set today or tomorrow. Do you have any other questions or things you want me to talk about in general?
No, I think that's great.
Yeah, hi John, it's Dave.
Hey Dave, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. You mentioned that you're going to be organising sort of a decomposition of tasks. Is that as I understand?
Yeah, I mean, you know, things are pretty domain specific with blockchain and crypto code. So some things are, you know, once you understand them, doing them is the same moment. But it's really about keeping track of what we still have to do. And things that we have to do are like basically inventive coding exercises that are challenging. So I will define them as well as I understand them, and I will take a crack at them too. But you know, the burden of getting those things done is challenging, and so I'd love to have other teammates work on it. But I'm basically going to just state what I'm going to attempt to do, and as far as I understand it, and then make a commit for that given change. So, and it's being documented pretty well on a per commit basis. Like we're using the Bitcoin style of marking your commits by component, and squash and, you know, rebase commits for making before doing a final merge. So we're keeping it clean, but it's tricky. It's hard to explain because it's, you know, piece by piece is tricky and tricky.
Yeah, I'm just if it's decomposed and we can share it around, I think that would be really good.
So yeah, I took a hack at all of the low-hanging fruit, and those are all marked commits. So I encourage you guys to look through those. But anything else that so like one thing JC was discussing with me is having the commitments and nullifiers working in the new Bitcoin style mempool logic, right? So converting that to the implementation is one of our next main to-dos. So it's coming along nicely, but there's a lot of pieces, and the consensus part is set, and the simple addresses part is all set, but the Z addresses part is where we have the heavy lifting to do.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, sir.
All right. I am in process of putting together a roadmap for Electrum wallet work, specifically, the timeline of different features and completion. So I'm probably going to publish that on the GitHub repo in the next week. Um, this will cover things like better hardware wallets integration, uh, rebasing or moving up to the latest master codes from upstream, which picks up a bunch of features, and then a bunch of other stuff, and sort of like expected timelines for these things. Um, let's see what other roadmap things coming up. And then Dan, do you want to talk about like roadmap items for BTCP Pay?
Uh, yeah, I think, well, I don't want to go into too many details. There's a Google document that lays out everything. It's more than a page long. But basically, this week, I invited about 100 people. I saw some activity. Last night, I sent another email out, and I saw plenty of activity actually on the BTC private channel. But one of the things that I'm working on is trying to reconciliate, the repository that we have um, for um, for the demo store and Bitcore and the server the server deployment for BTC private. I know that Chaotic, he did, I think, most of the code there. I think J62 and MatPass also committed a few things in there. But our code was behind, and so I just merged a bunch of things, made sure that it's working properly, and then I updated the documentation for Bitcoin Private Pay, specifically the documentation where we explain how you can deploy your own server. So that is up to date now, and I tested it multiple times to make sure that it goes smoothly without any errors. So if you follow that documentation, you should be able to deploy a server in DigitalOcean as of now. But let's see here. The main items on the roadmap right now are inviting the rest of the people. Hopefully before the end of this week, we have invited everyone, and we should have a lot more feedback. And then the third week, we want to finish up testing of version 1.0. And by the end of this month, we want to announce that anyone can go to a website, register, and use the system. Even though it doesn't have all the features, they can still use it. And then next month, we want to focus mainly in integration and also partnerships. So we want to see if BitPay, GoPay, or Coin Payments will consider doing an integration with BTCP. But if that doesn't work, it's fine. While we're trying to negotiate that, we're going to focus mainly on doing the integrations for WordPress, WooCommerce, which they are already done, but we need documentation. We need to make sure that they work properly. And then, of course, the Shopify one is the main one that we're going to be focusing on next month. So that one by itself will be quite big, and there are a few different options there. We might do a plugin for Shopify, or we might just do a little tutorial where we tell people that they have to change a few lines of code, and they'll be up and running. So um, that's basically the overview of the roadmap for BT. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of things on our plate. Everything's looking good so far. But I don't know if anyone has any questions. Yesterday, I got the questions from. He was online a minute ago. I don't see him anymore. Oh yeah, there he is. I don't know how you say your name. Is it Ajaf Noor? Is that your nickname, or is that your actual name? Um, I don't know if you're listening to me right now, but he sent a questionnaire with a bunch of questions. He's a very passionate member. He has been around for a long time, and he sent a questionnaire to the BTCP team that Matt Pass and I answered mostly. And I think that will be used for the next community update. So that should have a lot of information also in regards to where we are with every aspect of the development. But again, I don't know if anyone has any questions. I'll post the link to the roadmap that we have on the development channel right now if anyone wants to see it.
Hi Dan, it's Dave.
Hey Dave, how are you?
I'm good. I've seen a few things flying around recently where potential users have been asking for features. Are they being captured anywhere in a backlog?
Yeah, so right now the best way to request features is the BTC Pay Discord channel. That's kind of where we have seen a few requests. No, we don't have them in a specific list. I think we wanted to. We're pushing to for the usage of Zendesk, and yeah, there should be some of them in there, but I don't think all of them are in there. So we do need some help, populating information that's coming from the users. If
Yeah.
anyone can help with that.
Okay.
And related to what you were talking about with Bitcore or BitPay, sorry about that. I'm gonna paste something into the development channel. This is so BitPay has been working on this for a long time, and I've been keeping up with it for like a whole month now, and it hasn't been really ready, but it's coming around to the point where it is. I have an example server where I have this running with BTCP, and it's showing like most of the transaction data for each block, so it syncs and it does basically the newer insight. And I worked on it for a while, and it's funny because I come back like 3 days later and they have like 20 new changes, which is good because that means that it's if I were to keep working on that, it would be a waste of my resources. But I'm keeping up with it very closely, and they're coming around to a point now where I think that we're going to be able to have the final part work, which is it providing you not only the transparent transactions, but letting you know the amount of them, because that was like the last problem. It wasn't indexing into the UTXO sum or whatever its queries were. So once that works, we will have a brand new Insight Explorer, and it means a lot of things for our future with BitPay and for our web payments platform. So it's kind of just like stay tuned because they're working on it and I'm watching them work on it. But I've made all the BTCP related changes already. So once it's ready, it's ready, and I'm taking a couple hours a day to get it there. So stay tuned. That should be like this week. I really hope.
That is fantastic. And yesterday I did play, with the latest code changes that you made a lot, and I was able to get everything working.
Great.
There were a few hiccups here and there, but overall, just kudos to the great job that you did there. I'm documenting everything. I'm all about the documentation, and eventually the idea is that any developer can come to us, and if he wants to get a server up and running, all he has to do is follow the instructions step by step. And then later on, of course, we will do all the other deployment options that we had in mind, the automatic deployment and all that. But that's only after we have a solid version of this thing running. But yeah, so far it's looking great. I did get stuck a few hours last night with a few silly things, but it's just a lack of documentation. I think is the biggest problem sometimes in development. And I love how you always have a lot of notes and everything that you commit. Like that helps a lot. But other times, we develop things that are just not very well documented. So I will encourage everyone to always keep that in mind. It saves a lot of time. But yeah, thank you, Chaotic. I can't wait to see that'll be really fun to play with.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. I'm glad that we're getting around to that. So what Dan was talking about, he tested last night, is a simple standalone store demo that works with the full node wallet, but really works with any wallet. But right now it's still only watching for single inputs. But basically, it presents you with a static address, and everybody for a given product sends to that address, and on the back end, it's just watching for all transactions of interest. So pretty simple, but it's a slightly different implementation than the BTCP Pay one, where it's a remote server that has your XPub. So we'll have some discussion and writing about this too.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll catch up on that, and we'll let everyone know when it's ready, of course.
Yeah.
All right.
Chris.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then let's just go over work items from last week and progress and what you have upcoming for the following week. I guess Matt was one of the only other people. Or how's the Zendesk stuff coming along?
I saw Matt made a GitHub API calling thing to collect data about our developers' history and progress and stuff. So that was I think a little separate project, but I haven't seen anything from Zendesk. But my comment about it would be that
ZenHub,
I'm not opposed to it, but ZenHub, that's right. I use GitHub Issue Tracker, and GitHub Projects is also good, but I think that I will be using that granularity, so if people like using ZenHub, we can do it. But I don't know if I want to step back from GitHub as the place where I document. But I haven't seen anything from it. I don't know.
Well, ZenHub is just sort of like a GUI on top of GitHub issues.
Yeah, so all the issues, they still remain completely synced with GitHub, FYI.
Okay,
I did play with, play with it. Yeah, I did play with it a little bit. So if you want to work on GitHub directly, it's fine. Everything will be on ZenHub anyways.
Okay, cool.
But you should check it out. This is a really good tool to organize.
Drop me a link. I haven't gotten a link or anything.
Yeah, I think it might be worth sending out your repository details for the repository that Matt showed me last week, because all the issues are in there, and it gives you the opportunity to just drag and drop them between different pipelines, so we can see visually very quickly where things are and where we've got problems.
Do you need anything from me to do that?
I don't.
No, but
sorry, go on, Dan.
I am pasting the some of the repos that you have chaotic that you constantly work on, just for people to able to. I want people to know and track them, and know where to pose the right questions.
I encourage us, part of a major roadmap item for this week, let's say, would be having a conversation and merging up to master of the beacons of these, because I'm here poking along at these projects, but I wish we could merge them in and discuss them more often. But we'll do that this week.
I agree. One quick question and note, chaotic. So the Bitcore installer, I know that currently the master branch says that is version 0.01. Can you confirm that's accurate? That should be 0.04 at this point, right? Because it seems that the 0.03 is older. I don't know. It seems out of place somehow. But I did merge everything into I did merge everything into the BTCP one. So the BTCP one has all the changes from all your branches now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know about the versioning. I don't think I touched any of them beyond 0.001 maybe. Did I do 003? Is this me? This is me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll probably make a few commits and fix the numbers there. But yeah, it was a little confusing. And if other people get into it, they might get confused. They might play with old code by mistake, and they don't even know about it. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll clean this up the first half of this week. Thank you for telling me.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, I just created a similar Zen Hub um, board for Electrum. So one of the other action items I wanted to get through this next week was sort of categorizing all of the outstanding issues there are in the Electrum GitHub repo. I've just been way behind on it, and then kind of filtering through them to figure out what the biggest remaining issues are. So it's probably one of my bigger tasks for next week. It's a pretty nice view so far, um, but I'll have more feedback in the next few days. And then, Don, do you want to talk at all, or do you have a few seconds?
Yeah, so my agenda for this upcoming week is part of it is still organizational with finishing the restructuring, with jumpstarting the rest of the committees, and then going to spend whatever time I have left to review Chaotix pull requests. Particularly, there's one with the disable wall that it'd be great, I think, for everyone involved if we just got got that reviewed and pulled. Reviewed and committed to master, and then work on Mac compilation compatibility, which would be personally beneficial to me.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So, and after that, we'll be able to have Mac-based developers helping us on the rebase. So, if anyone's listening and eager, that's you.
Awesome. And then EDA, did you want to talk about any of the sort of project management related ideas you have for development coming up in the future?
Hi, I'm breaking up a little bit. My connection's not so great. I'm still going to be spending the next week or so trying to get in touch with you all individually to find out status of where we are and how we can monitor the progress and how we can manage the work so that we can split it up to some magical new developers that we're going to find in the next few weeks.
All right, awesome. Yeah, I think the most important thing is just like figuring out, what each of us is working on, what our core competencies are, and then kind of like helping with the recruitment effort.
Yeah, I think the first step is just to understand the size of the problem. I think individually, the developers have got a very good handle on what they're doing, but we've got to have more visibility so that we can assign work to other people if we need to ensure that we keep the timescales that we're trying to work to.
Yeah, I'd say that the rebase is one of the places where it's harder to quantify work just because of the nature of not retrofitting but forward fitting. So it's basically rewriting modules. So identifying those modules has been the first challenge for me, and it took me a whole pass of learning basically to be able to even identify those. So I'm eager to share that what I've learned by making issues for these different parts.
Guys, what do you guys think about making a meeting that is actually not just a catch up of what we're doing, but maybe like an organizational meeting where we go to SunHub and we go through some issues and we all organize them together, just so everyone gets familiar with the different repositories, and because I think we're all so focused in our little world, that sometimes we don't see what's going on with the other repositories, and I think it's important for all of us to have a good understanding. of not just the people that are managing, but everyone else as developers. So I don't know if it would be a good idea to maybe one day we pick one repo, we go through it, and we make sure that all the issues that were posted in different channels or on the notes that we have right now are posted in there as an issue. And then every week we pick one repo and we make sure that it's up to date. And if there, you know, and if there are issues that we can close, we close them, just to keep everything updated. I think that would be quite helpful if we can decide that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that could be helpful, like once or so. But I think it's a hygiene thing too. We need to kind of commit to closing issues and opening good ones on a few repos that we're working on actively, and maybe leave the rest kind of alone until the time comes, like Chris has. But not encouraging that kind of denial of reply to people. But it's the idea of like focusing. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be that many. I'm not saying we're gonna go through every single repo that we have, you know, but the most important ones. I don't know. It's just an
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you're asking for pruning sessions.
What was
Did
that?
you say a pruning session?
Pruning sessions, yeah, that's what it's called. When you
Yeah,
go through
pretty much.
tickets, yeah, it's pruning. Like BDA would be the guy that would lead that. He'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm trying to help and streamline what we're doing. So yeah, I think going through it as a group, and getting best practice from each other, and having a common workflow would be really useful.
Yeah, I agree. That way, the meetings are not just about talking about what we want to do and what we did, but actually, if we could spend 10-20 minutes just organizing a few things together as a team, we could learn from each other, like you said. That would be quite powerful. Yeah.
One other possibility I want to throw out there is that we have these public meetings. What do you all think about having a every other week cadence where we have a public meeting every other week, and then the alternating weeks we have internal committee meetings, one protocol dev and ecosystem dev, so that we can dive deep into our respective issues. And
I like that.
and that would also allow some other folks to be involved. It's just easier to schedule meetings when you're dealing with smaller groups of people. I personally, and maybe this is because I'm stretched thin, I really don't need to know too much about what BTCP Pay is up to. I mean, other than like from a business and strategy perspective, yes, but I don't need to go into the technical details, because every spare moment I have, I need to focus on getting up to speed with the rebase and pushing that forward. What do you guys think about that approach?
Yeah, I think that that's a good idea. And with BTC Pay, what we did several weeks is we will have a meeting every Thursday, like in morning time, so that the people in Europe can also join. And that worked out really well. We haven't done it as often as I would like to, and I wasn't able to attend a few ones as well. But they're very helpful. So yeah, committee meetings are quite helpful, and I encourage them. So maybe saving so every 3 weeks, like you said, to have a internal committee meeting instead of a open meeting like this one. That will encourage everyone to do the same thing. I think that's a good idea.
I also want to focus on the recruitment, or you can call it recruitment, but I like to think of it as open source initiative, because it's getting lonely in here sometimes. I would love to have some new people, like 5 new people who are all like beginners in Bitcoin, but are spending their time like between Bitcoin and Zcash's code base, or even one of the JavaScript ones, and like just opening issue after issue, even if they can't solve any of them, just identifying features they want, stuff like that. We really need a little more energy on the code side, because there's not that many of us, and it's that's part of the reason that we have all these projects that are like good plans and 3/4 of the way. It's because finishing the job is hard without being able to delegate at least a little bit. So I don't know. Tell your friends, and let's make some effort to that from a committee and organizational standpoint to keep getting fresh people involved. It's really important.
Yeah. Are we? Did we, for example, have we ever tweet? Did we tweet that we were having this development meeting today, for example? Because
Yeah, it was tweeted yesterday, I believe.
okay, cool, that's fine. I think Telegram is a great place also to recruit people. I think that that's where most people found out about this. So yeah, we should definitely do that. I think we can delegate plenty of work. I agree with you.
But I think this is a message for the community. Part of the reason why we're restructuring more towards committees is to afford more opportunity for everyday community members out there in Discord, elsewhere, to start getting involved, to start lending a hand in the areas that they're passionate and interested in. And so, for instance, I was just talking to another Discord individual who is working on a BTCP version of Breadwall, a mobile iOS app, wallet app. And so we've been chatting some more, and he just came on Discord and we started chatting. And so when you see individuals like that, we are going to take a lot more of an intentional and concerted effort towards welcoming those individuals and enlarging the tent, and opening the doors towards community involvement, because we're a community-driven project and we need to leverage that essential characteristic of our project.
Yep, I agree.
Cool. All right. Do we have any other items that you guys want to bring up?
I'd like to check in sometime this week with JC and maybe have a call with him, a technical call if we could do that, just because I don't know, I chat with him periodically, but he's been away for a little bit. So that would help me at least for the rebase. Probably Don could be there and whoever else would like to.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, we can just make it an official protocol dev meeting, voice, and go dive deep and split up some action items there.
Yeah, like he's the one who has the next 5 to 10 issues all defined in his mind, and so I'm kind of trying to pick those out of him piecemeal. But it would really help to have a meeting in the near future.
Yeah, agreed. I'll set that up.
Okay, cool.
This is a protocol specific development meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, just rebase.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Any other business?
To go along with that, we should probably talk about algorithm change, what parameters we want to land on before we get to the end of the rebase period.
Sure. Do we want to have a? What do we need to do next for that?
We had plenty of discussion on it, and I think we came down to parameter changes. So I guess we'll have to weigh the pros and cons of 144.5 or 192.7.
Okay. Well, I know where that is in the code, and so I guess we can open issue for it and have it be a long-running discussion, or preferably not too much more long-running. But when the initial rebase code is released, it'll be part of that.
Right. We have a 192.7 testnet set up successfully. I assume we didn't change any of the difficulty parameters, so I assume that difficulty is going to need to be adjusted no matter what. I've noticed that some of the other coins that have forked to 144.5 that they're having some difficulty with their difficulty.
Cool. Good.
Just
Good comment though.
If we don't have to decide anything now, just keep it in the back of your head.
Okay.
BTA, something maybe to address that I haven't heard much about is the new website. I know we have a really good looking new website that Tom has been working on with the team. Um, but I don't think they have been part of this meeting recently, and I have a lot of questions for them. So I don't know if we maybe want to organize a meeting, a committee meeting for the website. Like we get that started, and maybe we can join them and make sure that they got everything they need. Because I feel like sometimes they're working by themselves and they don't really know what's going on. So maybe setting up a meeting for that group will be a good idea.
Yeah, I think Don spoke to them yesterday. I think he did actually invite them to this meeting, but I don't think they're here. I think last week we discussed about the three priorities that we were looking at, which were the Electrum wallet, the rebase, BTCP pay. But I spoke with Don on Friday, and we did discuss that the website is possibly another project that we should be spending a little bit more time on.
Okay. And have you guys looked at it by any chance? Have you seen the new website?
I haven't, no.
Okay. I'll send you a link to it. It's quite amazing. Looks great. I don't think I can post that link publicly yet, though. So I'll just send it via PM if anyone wants to see it.
All right. And I think that pretty much wraps things up, right?
Yeah, I think we're all set.
All right. Next week, BDA, would you want to lead this meeting, or do you want me to lead it one more week? Just so we can start handing off some responsibilities.
Yeah, I think again, I spoke with Don. If you take it for another week, and then I'll take it from then on.
Okay, that sounds good. Just to kind of get you a little more acclimated with what everyone's doing. All right. Cheers, everyone, then, and go England in 15 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Hey.
Thank you very much. It's coming home.
Going home, yeah. All right. See you guys.
Thanks, folks.
See ya.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.